Welcome back to Movies That Matter, the podcast where entertainment is subjective, and that's not a bad thing. I'm your host, Chris Flaherty, and thank you for joining us from the podcast studio at Burlington Cable Access Television. Deep breaths. We talk a lot about popular films here on the show, but I love when we get to turn a spotlight on films that not everybody knows or don't get enough attention. And today we're discussing the first feature film in the Yokai Watch series, first released on December 20th, 2014 in Japan. The U.S. dub was directed by Mark Risley, and the original script was written by, I apologize in advance, Yoichi Kato, and the English voice cast includes Johnny Young Bosch, Joey Daria, and Allison Packard. And my guest today, here to guide me through the Yokai Watch verse, is Veras Connolly. Welcome back, Veras.
Glad to be back, Chris.
Veras is the creator and host of the same-named YouTube channel, co-host and showrunner of the Cartridge Crusaders YouTube channel, creator, director, and CEO of BioPrism Studios and its YouTube channel, and frequent collaborator in my public access shenanigans. How do you handle 3 YouTube channels?
With a lot of grit, determination, and long nights.
Caffeine?
Well, I mean, that's to be expected, right?
Or do you have yokai help you?
Hey, I mean, come on now. Don't make me out my ghostly friends like that.
They're ghosts?
That is what a yokai technically is, yes.
Okay, that was one of my questions.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is a yokai?
What is a yokai?
So a yokai, its origin dates back to mystical and mischievous Japanese ghosts, basically.
Okay.
Spirits. And the idea of yokai was, it's mostly like, wives' tales or like the things that go wrong in the world and like the explanations behind them. So like, for instance, you have people who say like, oh, I was down by the river and suddenly like I felt like I was overtaken by like this great ambition to clean the entire river for no apparent reason. And it's like that is a yokai in the show. It's Blazion, who is a tiger-like yokai who imbues people with like energetic and like fiery passion to do things. And every yokai does something different, and they can inspirit people and force them to do things. There's a yokai that if it grabs hold of you, it forces you to tell the truth no matter what. Like Kappa is a very common mythological Japanese creature that is referenced in a lot of different media. That is considered a yokai. All different manner of spirit and hearsay, and people basically just like, well, if something kind of off-putting or strange happens in the world, it was probably a yokai.
Okay, very rooted in Japanese mythology.
Yes,
got it.
Exactly.
And so, like, from what I understand from the movie, is like some people can be reincarnated as them.
Yes.
Yeah, not to get spoilery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, that is true.
Okay. And sometimes they're animals, and sometimes they're just legs with a hat on.
Yes, the yokai can take any form that kind of represented them before. Like the main cat character there was an actual cat before they died. And so like some animals, just when they die, they directly look like an animal. And then there's some that like, there's I don't know if this yokai was in the movie, I can't remember, but there was like an old man who used to like visit a gas station or a convenience store with their like granddaughter all the time, and they used to like tell stories with them and stuff like that. And when they passed away, they became like this old man looking yokai who sat outside of convenience stores making people hungry every time they came in. So it was like it kind of relates to how they passed away, like whatever their like unresolved business is. But when they resolve it, they don't go away; they're still around. So that it's kind of funny, it's kind of weird, and that's part of the reason why I love it so much.
Okay. You once described this to me as very similar to Pokemon. What do you think Yokai Watch? What's one thing you think Yokai Watch does better than Pokemon, and what's one thing you think it does worse?
So I think that the way that the anime and even just the show and the movies in general are written, in my opinion, are way better than Pokemon. I think that Pokemon is very rooted in being kind of this, and forgive me, Pokemon fans. I am a Pokemon fan, but I'm going to rag on it a little bit. It is very just generic at this point. It's very much the everyman's anime where it's just like, yeah, like, I'm a kid, I'm going to go on this adventure. Like, yeah, whoa, this is happening. But like in Yokai Watch, the main characters like kind of suck as people. And so you get this interesting perspective of like, yeah, like, you know, the world is at stake and like there's danger happening. And the only people who are here to actually save the day are kind of selfish and are kind of jerks. And I think that adds a level to the writing because like they do care about each other and it shows in a lot of moments, but it's also extremely human. Mm-hmm. And I think that plays through not only in the human characters, but also the yokai who all have like a reason for the way that they are. They have motivation, they have emotions, and like they can get sad, they can get angry. And it's just, and the only way to quote unquote capture a yokai, which is like kind of the equivalent of like capturing a Pokemon, is to become friends with them. Mm-hmm. And like once you become friends with them and you kind of help them through their grief, they give you their medal, and then you can summon them from their medal from the watch. Mm-hmm. But the yokai doesn't have to obey when you summon them either. It's a very like back and forth relationship. It's not like forced. It's very it's equal. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what it does better than Pokemon. What I think it does worse than Pokemon is mainly the at least in the games, the gameplay is kind of boring. Okay. Where Pokemon's is way more interesting, and way more. And I feel like that the reason for that is because in Yokai Watch they're like, well, Pokemon already did that, so how do we kind of take that and make it our own? Yeah. So I think Pokemon in general is a better concept, but I think Yokai Watch has much better execution. Okay. I think would be my give and take for those.
Yeah, you think Yokai is a better anime and Pokemon's a better gameplay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with that.
And also, yokai say more than their own name.
Yeah, they actually talk.
They talk
most of the time. There are a few yokai that just say their name. Mm-hmm. So I will say that does happen a few times, but most of the yokai will usually talk in full English.
Yeah. Not to say that, like, just because the Pokemon don't talk, they don't have personality.
No, of course not. Of course not. That very clearly comes through in a lot of, like, the movies and some of the anime things, and like, especially in, like, Indigo League, when Pokemon were being straight up abused. Like, that comes through very well. Yeah. But I do appreciate that, like, yokai are just like, it's just like, whoa, look at this weird little guy. And then they just speak in full English, and you're like, oh, okay. Like... That's crazy.
They break the fourth wall a lot.
They do break the fourth wall a lot, which the show originally aired. It was like it aired on Disney XD. So I think the English writers were, at the time that was very popular to do. It was very funny to do that.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid watching this, I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever watched in my life. Looking back on it now, there are a few moments where I was like, okay, yeah, that's a little dated. But for the most part, the show holds together for me pretty well.
Was Disney XD how you first came across it?
Yes. Okay. Yes, it was. I watched it. I laid eyes on it, and I was like, I love this show. It's because for the exact reason of, like, it's like Pokemon if everyone was kind of a jerk. And I think that's really funny.
Yeah. And then you discovered the games afterwards, or?
Yes, I believe I discovered the anime, and then through the anime I discovered that it was kind of a long... Like, it had a manga and it had a game series in Japan, and they were trying to bring it to the U.S. Mm-hmm. And they brought some of the games to the U.S., but I think after the third game they stopped, which really stinks because the two Switch games that are available in Japan, which is the fourth game and then a remake of the first game, look really good, and I can't play them because I don't speak Japanese. So I really wish Yokai Watch did better in America.
What do you think kept it from reaching that pokey level of success?
I honestly think that most people probably just judged it off of the face value of, like, this is just worse Pokemon. Like, I'm sure a lot of people looked at it and were just like, this is literally, they're just copying and pasting what Pokemon was doing. And I feel like that happens with a lot of shows where they'll just look at it and be like, oh, this is just this. Mm-hmm. But if you actually gave the show some time and actually watched it, you realize how unique it actually is from those counterparts. Is it like another Pokemon, Digimon type show? Yeah, of course it is. But like that has become a genre at this point.
Yeah.
And Yokai Watch, in my mind, stands out pretty well in that genre. But at least us in America, we just viewed it as like a carbon copy. I feel like if it tried to come back nowadays, it might do a little bit better. But since back then people were a little bit quicker to judge stuff like that, it just kind of didn't last super long with us.
Yeah, it's not a foreign concept where a protagonist has to go around capturing stuff.
Right, exactly.
I'm trying to think of, like, I know Jackie Chan, like, adventures. They had to go get the talismans and stuff. There was another, not Danny Phantom.
I mean, Danny Phantom did capture ghosts all the time in his adventures, so I mean, that kind of works. I can see the parallels there, for sure. Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe? I guess that's cards.
Yeah,
more than anything
but it's
else.
still, like, collecting something. Ben 10.
Ben 10, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You go around collecting aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that show.
And a watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the watch, yep. So, yep, 2 watches. There you go.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the movie.
Yes, please.
Tell me in your own words, or give me the premise of the anime and then the movie.
Sure. So the premise of the anime is basically like, and I'm pretty sure this is exactly how the show describes it. It's like average nobody, Nate Adams, stumbles upon a stone capsule machine in the forest. Upon opening it, he's greeted by a ghostly butler known as Whisper, who turns out to be a yokai, who grants him the Yokai Watch, which allows him the ability to see and interact with yokai. That's what the anime is about. And then, obviously, meeting yokai, shenanigans ensue. That's the show.
Yeah.
The movie is, how do we take this concept of collecting these monsters and like the origin of this watch and how it came to be and turn that into a movie. And so basically they, tell this tale of like these yokai who are being led by this even more powerful yokai who seek to basically erase the yokai watch, make it so that humans and yokai can never interact, so that this all-powerful yokai can basically take over the world, because when she was a human, I'm getting into spoiler territories, I apologize. When she was a human, she was wrongfully accused of something she never did. She was locked away, and so she died of vengeful spirit, and so she wants to seek revenge on the world for how she was treated. And the only thing that stands in her way is Nate Adams and Nate's grandfather, Nathaniel Adams, who was the original creator of the Yokai Watch.
Twist.
It's crazy. It's really insane. And so she's trying to like basically erase the Yokai Watch, erase all of Nathaniel's work, and make sure that Nate Adams never learns what yokai is. So the movie starts off with like Nate being like, oh yeah, my life's just normal, whatever. And then he gets attacked by a giant cat. So it's like, I'm like, I already love this. Like,
was he attacking?
Not really attacking so much as just pursuing more than anything else, and turning everything gigantic. So like it was just this. It's when you watch the series, because I watched seasons 1 and 2, and I think the movie came out between those 2 seasons. And I remember after watching the first season, then watching this movie, the show has such a strange way of pulling on your heartstrings when the show itself is so conceptually silly, and it's written so goofy that the moments where like it's actually like kind of deep and like actually has like really really like sweet messaging, it kind of hits really really deep, because like some of these yokai are just people.
Yeah,
and
ghosts that have unfinished business.
Exactly, and it's like they really lean into that, and then it's like, how does that like interact with humans? And like they bounce off of the comedy and the sadness very well. And it's like the show made me feel sad for a hat. There was a hat that was abandoned, and it became a yokai, and I was like, that I don't know why.
Is that Legley?
No, that
Okay.
is, I forget his. It's Wazat. Is his name.
Was that okay?
Basically, if he's a hat yokai. If he like basically goes on your head, he makes you forget what you were doing. Makes you forget anything that he wants you to forget. Because he was a forgotten hat. So it's like it kind of plays into the story. And I was like, why am I crying over a hat? Like, this is crazy. So like that's what I really love about the show and the movie.
Okay. It is, and the humor is very unique.
Yeah, I honestly think the humor is one of the strongest parts of the show, and I think what really sets it apart from everything else.
Well, I texted you last night as I was watching this. I'm like, not 2 minutes in, and 2 characters have fallen victim to vehicular manslaughter.
Yes, that's more or less. Yes,
because Whispers and I can't remember the cat's name. Yeah, they seem like they're going to address the audience about something, like, I don't know, put on your 3D glasses or something.
Yeah,
and instead they get T-boned by a 4-wheeler.
Yep.
I was like, okay, I guess they'll start the movie.
Yeah, and then Koma-san is to pick up the pieces afterwards. That was that little white yokai with the green backpack. Yeah, that was like, oh yeah, enjoy the movie. That's one of my favorite characters in the show. Is Koma-san. I love him so much.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about how you discovered the movie.
I'm trying to remember. I'm going to try to dig back as far as I can, because did the movie come out in 2014 in America, or was that only in Japan?
2014 in Japan, 2015 in the U.S.
Okay, that tracks. That lines up. So I was 14. So perfect age for me to discover this franchise. I remember, so when I first started watching Yokai Watch, like I mentioned earlier, I was hooked. Like I bought the toys. I bought, they sold a watch. And they sold medallions that you could put in the watch, and it actually it played the theme of you summoning the character, and then it gave a little voice line of the character.
That's cool.
It was awesome. And I forget where it is, unfortunately. I've lost it, but I have all my medallions in I have all my medallions in the I forget what it's called, but the book that Nate has in the show, they sold like a binder where you could keep all of them in, and it was basically this. It was really cool. But I was like, I had Yokai Watch fever, and then they announced oh, we're doing this big movie event to celebrate the start of season 2. So watch this before you watch season 2. And so I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. It's we are playing it in very, very select theaters. And so I think they played it in I think Lowell was the only place around here that were playing it. I was like, I have to go see this movie. It is so important that I see this movie. And so me and my brother went. They were giving out special medallions of Hovernyon, which was the blue cat. And also they were giving out keychains of Hovernyon. It's on my keys right now. I know audio listeners love you to death. You can't see it. So they were also giving out another yokai, but he wasn't really in the movie. He was in the credits. But and then I watched the movie, and I was like, that was really good. I love that so much. And then season 2 came out, and they basically retconned the movie more or less.
Oh, sick!
Which was weird. They kept some things but removed other things, and I was like, is this because of time travel stuff, or why did they redo the beginning of? It just seemed really weird.
What did they retcon?
So they basically were like, hey, do you know the version of the watch that Nathaniel had, the grandfather? So in the present, they were like, oh, we're making a new Yokai Watch, the Yokai Watch Model 0. And the idea was supposed to be that it was supposed to be the retro version of the Yokai Watch. And Nate and Whisper are acting like they've never seen it before, it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. And some Steve Jaws, it's a shark, who made the watch, which is a joke on Steve Jobs.
So it's like the shark from Jaws in a turtleneck?
Actually, yeah.
Cool.
That's exactly what it was.
I'm going to look that up and then probably draw something similar.
Do it.
Okay.
But they're like, oh, he invented the yokai watches and he did all this stuff. And I was like, first of all, no. That did not happen. And so it was just kind of a weird thing where I think they wanted to keep the show going with its own canon, but they had the movie as a side thing that is also, I don't know. I'd have to look into it, but it was really bizarre.
It drives me crazy when TV shows make movies and then the movies are just forgotten about. Pokemon, first movie, Mewtwo at the end is hey, you shouldn't remember any of this.
Yeah, so it retcons the whole movie.
Yeah. So they just resume, and I'm like, you just spent 4 episodes teasing this movie.
Yeah.
And then everyone's just what? Who's Mewtwo?
Yeah, it's what's happening?
Yeah, that just that seems to be a problem with like all the Pokemon movies. Like Ash like saves the world and like no one cares.
Yes, it's so weird. I don't know why anime movies do that. They're like, here's a movie, but it's not canon. But it was like the coolest cinematic thing you've ever seen. That should be canon, but it's not. I'm like,
No.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, I can't think of like any TV show that had a movie and like addressed the events of the movie other than Rugrats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like Kimmy was around
Kimmy,
after
Dill,
the movie.
yeah.
Dill. I think Fairly Odd Parents addressed their movies a few times.
Oh, the TV movies.
Yeah, the TV movies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like even then they more or less are just like they ignore a lot of their lore. Which I mean, when a show goes on for that long, you know, I get it if there's a few slips here and there, but like to completely disregard the events of a movie is just crazy.
Yeah.
So there might be a reason behind why the Yokai Watch movie was like uncanonized in like the show. I'd have to look into it, but it might be time travel stuff. I'm not sure.
I was gonna say the timeline was definitely like broken at the end of this movie.
It was. But yeah, because Nate went back in time to like fix everything and creating basically a paradox.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. I try not to think about it as much because I was like, it's a fun time travel movie where Nate gets to meet his deceased grandfather who made the Yokai Watch. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
So
what really sticks out with you with this movie?
Like we mentioned earlier, the humor. I think it's a really, really funny movie. I think it like the payoff you get if you watch the entire first season and you go to see this movie. Oh, the payoff is it's so much payoff, and to see all of the yokai that you've been seeing throughout the show appear in the movie, even if just in that big final fight. To kind of see like Whisper, Jibanyan, and Nate have this like big adventure through time, and to like be able to see them like just like fight back against something that seeks to kind of destroy everything that they've ever known. And I think that it's a really cool concept. I love series that have main characters that aren't really magical, don't really have anything super special about them, but they still step up to save the day because they're the ones that, you know, were there and there's like, hey, like, I need your help. Like, you're connected to this. Like, you don't have any powers. You don't have anything. You're just a human, but you're going to persevere in the end. And I love that. I love stories like that. And like, yeah, he has the Yokai Watch and he has like his yokai friends, but like the thinking that Nate has to do, even during the show, of like, okay, what yokai works really good in this scenario? And it's the Ben 10 problem too, where it's just like he's like, I'm going to do forearms every time, but it's like, no, like you need like Stinkfly or Diamond Head in this instance. But with Yokai Watch, it's the same thing where he's like, he defaults to Jibanyan, and when that doesn't work, he's like, okay, who would actually really work in this scenario? And I think that the movie doesn't really use that too much, obviously, because it's more meant to be like a fight set piece with all the different yokai. But you can kind of see all of their unique abilities at work during the fight, and you can see like all the things that they've been doing in the show up until this point being used. And I just think that it's really cool, and it's a lot of fun. And also the movie and the show both do not hold back when they're like, we're just going to do weird stuff.
Oh
like,
my God. Yeah.
You know, we're just going to be weird. Like, you mentioned like the main enemy farts out a kaiju.
Yeah.
The Whisper and Jibanyan fuse at one point.
Yeah, I was like, whoops.
Which was awesome. I loved that part. And I was like, it's just, I love that this show is just like, yeah, we're weird and we love that. And it's just how aggressive some of the characters are, like Nate threatening to beat up an old man. When he kept falling asleep, he had like the fan thing. And I was like, oh my God. But it's such a funny show and a funny movie, and I love that the humor was like maintained in it.
You know, I was gonna say, like earlier, you were saying like the main characters aren't really good people. I'm like, Nate Adams is a decent guy. Then you just mentioned that he was gonna threaten an old man's life. So.
Yeah.
All right.
He's like I said this before. They're all like decent people, but they are jerks at the end. They're very selfish at the end of the day, which makes sense. He's like 14 probably. I think he was like my age when the show came out. So it's like, you know, as a 24-year-old now, I can look back and be like, oh, that's hilarious, because I'm sure when I was that age, I was also kind of a little gremlin. You know, I was a little jerk.
Weren't we all?
Yeah. So I was like, I think this is really funny, and I think it's better than just having like your generic I got to do the right thing protagonist. Because in the beginning of the show, Nate doesn't even want to have the yokai watch.
Reluctant protagonist.
Literally. Like, Whisper comes out of the capsule. He's like, oh, I'm going to grant you the greatest thing ever. And as he's talking, Nate's walking away. It's such a funny show, and I love it.
Also, it kind of works with his grandfather, too.
Yeah.
In the movie.
His grandfather was kind of a sour apple as well.
Who didn't want anything to do with yokai.
Nope, not at all. I mean, he always did the right thing. And always tried his best. And he just, I guess with him, it was more like he didn't want anything to do with them because he was afraid of letting people too close because of his like backstory with like the kid that got bullied and he couldn't save him. So that one was it was fun to kind of see a character who stunk, but then you saw why. And it was like, okay, he's being a jerk because he has a bad history. And then he turns around in the end, and it's really nice.
Yeah. Is Nate? Would you say Nate is the character you like connect or gravitate to most? As somebody who grew up being told that I was very average, which sounds, it's by my own mother, no less. Like I was growing up being told a lot that I was very average, mostly average looking, very average person in a lot of regards. Like my grades were average. I looked pretty average. Like a lot of things about me were average. And so I connected with Nate a lot in the sense where like everybody thinks he's just some like normal average kid. And he kind of is, but he's got this whole other half to him that people don't know about. That probably will never know about, but he still chooses to do the right thing most of the time when it really comes down to it. And so I relate to Nate in the sense where like I don't think anybody is average, and I think that like a person can look average on the surface, but you never actually know what's going on in the background. And so I would say I gravitate towards Nate in the sense where I relate to him where like, yeah, I appear very average. I've been told I'm very average, but I've got a lot of stuff going on that like, unless you ask, a lot of people don't know about. Like, I mean, you rattled off my resume at the top of the episode, so it's like, I don't, I had a bit of a temper as a kid, I will admit. So there are a few moments where like Nate got a little upset and a little teed off, if you will, that I could relate to when I was his age, where I was like, yeah, I got easily angry too. And I was a little impatient. But, obviously I've grown up now. My patience has gotten better. But I do think that when the show came out, he was definitely the character I gravitated to the most. And honestly, a lot of the times I feel like his anger is fairly justified. He's trying his best.
And he's too young for this.
Seriously.
So literally, it's like, hey man, you asked a child to do this. He's doing his best. So
I don't think we even touched on the fact that like not everyone can see these creatures.
Yep.
That kind of like brought up in my mind like, oh, it's almost like an allegory for like children playing with their imaginary friends. Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even pick up on that, to be honest, but that totally makes sense to me because it's like, oh, who are you talking to in there? It's like, oh, no one. But it's like, there's a person standing here. There's a creature standing here. There's in the real world, it'd be like, this is my imaginary friend. But in the show's case, it's like, it's a yokai.
Yeah.
And so I would say that it kind of touches on that like imaginative piece. Of like, oh yeah, there's like all these little imaginary creatures running around causing havoc, but they're real.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And I also saw like a connection to another movie that I know matters to you, but you weren't the one that got to talk about it on this show, and I apologize.
It's okay.
Back to the Future.
Yep. For sure, yeah, with the time travel element. I am a sucker for manipulating the time stream. I love anything having to do with dimension stuff and time travel stuff. And so when they were like, yeah, this is a time travel movie about how the Yokai Watcher's made, I was like, Sign me up. Sounds fantastic. I can't wait for the goofy shenanigans that they pull off with this. So yeah, no, I love that.
And also, like, going back in time to connect with a parental figure that you're not really connecting with in the present.
Yeah.
Because you think they're, well, as far as, like, Marty McFly, a dingus.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not Marty. Oh, my God. I have to edit this out. George.
Yeah.
George.
Yeah.
There goes my credit.
I thought you meant, like, Marty's parents. Like, I thought you were saying, like, because I was going to say, because in Nate's case, his grandfather is not around anymore.
Yeah.
So they're a bit of a different...
Yeah, different, but it's like connecting.
It's
finding a new level of understanding.
Right.
And all the times you watched this film throughout the years, were there any, like, specific viewings that stick out in your memory? Or, like, what makes you want to rewatch this movie?
So, to answer kind of the first part, the most memorable viewing I have is when I went to go see it in the theater, for sure. I think, if I remember correctly... when the movie was ending and during the credits when they started doing the dance sequence, my brother and I got up and actually danced.
Nice.
To the credits. And it was really nice and sweet because like the theme song to the show for season 1 and 2 is so good. And they're two different theme songs, but they're both really, really, really good. The theme song they use in the movie kind of stinks, I'm not going to lie. But they use the theme songs from the show and the end credits theme from the show in the credits of the movie. And so, like, all of that came up at the end, and I was like, oh, like, this sounds really good. This is awesome. And so, like, it just makes you want to get up and dance. And even the yokai in the thing was like, get up, dance. It's going to be, let's have fun. So what kind of makes me want to go back and rewatch this movie is that it reminds me of kind of, you know, some of the emotions and feelings I had when the show came out. Kind of reminds me of that part of my childhood where, like, I would come home, I would watch Yokai Watch, I would play Animal Crossing on my 3DS, and I would, like, do, like, a bunch of, like, nerdy stuff with, like, video games and Sonic and all this stuff. And so there was just a part of my life that I have a lot of pop culture fond memories. And also, I think that the humor and writing holds up pretty well. And so it's nice to go back and watch, like, the show or the movies and just be like, oh, like, how can I take this as an inspiration for the stuff that I do? What made this so unique that I can kind of apply those lessons to my own work of, like, how do I make my work unique like this one did? And, like, try to do a better job at, like, pushing it and making it more well-known so it doesn't fade into obscurity like Yokai Watch did.
Yeah, that sort of leads to my next question. As an artist, as a creator, how does this film and its art style sort of speak to you?
So I love the cartoonishness of it. I love that the art style is very stretchy, cartoony, and colorful. And the concept behind, like, all these little weird creatures running around and like interacting with humans and causing magical havoc is so charming to me. And, you know, it inspires me to make my own, you know, media about little mischievous creatures running around, trying to save the world, running into magical situations. And it's just, like, it's so colorful and the characters are so memorable and funny. And it's the writing, again, I can't say enough about the writing. And so it taught me at a very young age that, yes, you have the mainstream media that knows what it's doing, but then you have the smaller projects that have so much passion and love poured into them that these are the ones more worth watching, in my opinion. So, like, yeah, you have your Pokemons and, like, yeah, they're going to probably be airing that show till the day I die. But Yokai Watch is a series that, while it was here, it was authentically itself. It did what it wanted to do. It made me laugh a bunch, and it was like really good, really funny, really heartfelt. And then it unfortunately ended after 3 seasons.
It's over.
It's over.
Okay.
The 3rd season kind of stunk, and they replaced the main voice cast with different people. It was a whole thing. But, like, the 3rd season also, like, it's like they introduced a new character, and they tried to make it so that there were 2 different people who could see yokai. like a real Fairly Odd Parent situation. It just didn't work.
Oh yeah, when Timmy had like the neighbor
Chloe,
that I didn't watch.
It didn't work very well. Like it was okay, but I was like, like it's not really working. And with the main voice cast gone, the delivery of a lot of that humor was just gone. And so I think that probably aided in killing it. Was like how much that third season just didn't follow the rest.
How many games were there in the series?
As far as I'm aware, so there was the first one on 3DS, and then a sequel came out with. They pulled a Pokemon and had 2 different versions.
Oh, okay.
And then I think the third game again was standalone, and then there was a fourth game that then got a re-release with like updated stuff in it. It was like an updated version, like as on Switch, and then there was a remake of the first game. And I think that's it.
Did they do the Pokemon where they had like, oh, there's 100 new ones every game? Or
so I think they tried to add new yokai with every game. Truth be told, I've only played the first one. I haven't beaten it, but I've only played the first one, and I've only really like seen some of the gameplay of the other ones. But it seems like they tried to add more and more yokai over the series. The problem that this franchise runs into a lot is they love reusing Jibanyan's design.
I was say in my notes, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of cats.
Yes, and I think that because they make a joke about it in Yokai Watch, the series, where when a cat dies, it probably will become a yokai, and there's an influx of cat yokai in the city, and Jibanyan becomes homeless as a result.
Oh, okay.
And that's their whole arc in the show. So that is probably why there's so many cat yokai and why there's so many iterations of that character. But I got kind of sick of seeing Jibanyan over and over and over and over and over and over again because like Jibanyan's basically the Pikachu of this world. But where with Pokemon, like all the versions of that Pokemon look the same except for the different genders.
Yeah.
Like, they literally just took the same design and just repurposed it over and over. So it was different because it was like, this is clearly a different character. You just gave them this character's design and swapped the colors around. So I will say that, yes, they did add more yokai over time, but they were also at fault for reusing a lot of designs.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely tried to do a new Pikachu every year.
Sure.
Like they did Pichu in the second generation, then they did Plusle Minun.
Raichu.
Yeah. Well, Raichu was like in the Gen 1.
That's true.
And
You're
then
right.
like Gen 4 was Pachirisu.
That's true.
Then Gen 5 was Emolga.
But they looked different.
They did look different, but you definitely saw like, okay, electric rodent.
That is true. Yeah.
And I'm going to stop at Emolga because after Gen 5 is where like I started.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, listen, I can barely remember the first 150 at age 34. So.
And there's more to see.
There's... Yeah, but can you rap them all?
Oh, God, no. I've tried to learn the Poke Rap. I can't.
No. Okay.
Anyway.
What are some important messages or themes of the film to you?
One of the biggest important messages of not only the film, but I feel like the show as a whole, and the franchise as a whole, is there's always more going on beneath the surface. Whether it's the yokai who are causing havoc only to talk to them to realize that they're traumatized and they just needed somebody to figure out what was going on. And that you can really solve a lot of problems through words and listening and trying to figure out what's going on with somebody. And like there is a lot of fighting in this show, but I think the root problem that Yokai Watch tackles is mental health and like history and tragedy and like dealing with that and like how do you overcome that and like how does that manifest itself when you never get to resolve that and like what kind of a creature or person do you become when it gets the better of you and like how you can kind of pull yourself out of it with just a little help from somebody who sees you. It's like nobody can see you but this person can. And I feel like the Yokai Watch is a metaphor for people who are actively trying to seek people out and help them. Where it has become the method, like it's literally a point blank metaphor where like all the Yokai Watch are like, you can see me because they're so used to being ignored. But it's like, no, they finally see you. And I think that that's a huge, huge, huge important message in the show. And I feel like a subsequent message is like, just because somebody's going through something does not mean that they have the right to be a jerk or to do some of the things that they're doing. You know, whether they're hurting people or they're causing them to like overeat or forget things that they shouldn't be forgetting. It is imperative that there's balance. And I think that it kind of delivers on that very well in that message.
The grandfather's arc is very powerful, I think, because he's shutting himself off from everyone because he thinks he's unreliable, he's no good.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need friends. And that really spoke to me.
Yeah.
And that's a lot for a 14-year-old kid to
have to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree for sure. And I think the movie really does hammer home like, yeah, like this is kind of a case scenario where they flip the script. Where it's like usually it's a human looking for yokai trying to figure it out. Now it's all of the yokai want to help the human that refuses help. And so I was like, that's a very clever and sweet message where it's like, yeah, like all these little goofy spirits need help, but like so do we.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get lost in the fact that we're trying to help everybody else, that sometimes we realize that maybe we also need help ourselves.
We sort of touched on this a little bit. What are, or how do you think this film is a reflection in your taste in movies and stories?
So for sure, I've mentioned this a few times when I talk about stuff. When I was younger, I was always interested in media that nobody cared about. Nobody gave a crap. And so Yokai Watch was one of those things where I would bring it up and talk about it, and nobody would know what I was talking about because it's like, is that Pokemon ripoff? And I'd be like, it's not a Pokemon ripoff. It's not. But I like, it's not even just that. It's like, it is just so uniquely itself, and it stands out so much from like the competition and from the AAA studios, if you will. I know that's technically a video game term. But it's like Pokemon started off as kind of this fun, unique, niche concept and developed into kind of like, you know, the standard for stuff. Where Yokai Watch comes out, it is now a iteration on that formula, but it's a lot more unique and it's a lot more interesting. And it is so weird. And I love things that are so bizarrely weird and uniquely like speaking to its own message. And I took that to heart where I was like, oh, the main character doesn't have to be this flawless everyman.
Right.
It can be this like goofy, kind of selfish 14-year-old who does the right thing in the end, but also like tries to, you know, get away with stuff in the meantime. It's like if you were 14 and gained access to like supernatural spirits that could get you whatever the heck you wanted, I'm sure anybody would jump at the opportunity to be like, well, you know, it'd be cool if I was, you know, more popular in school, or if I had like $1 million or like whatever. Like it is so realistic to me, where it's like, I feel like with most shows, they'd be like very generic, where it's just like, oh, I could ask this yokai to do this or this or this, where Nate's are so specific, where it's just like, oh, well, I want like, you know, I want everybody to forget that I had to go to the bathroom in school. Because there was an episode where he went to the bathroom, somebody walked by the bathroom, and it smelled really, really bad, and he was publicly embarrassed.
This was a whole episode?
This was a whole episode. This is where the hat guy came in. This was at.
This is where this is the episode you cried at.
Yeah, yes. This is what I'm saying. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Is that this is a show that has not only a poop joke, but also a heart-wrenching story about a hat in the same episode. So I go from laughing my butt off to crying. It is, but like he like Wazat is like, hey, you know, you went to the bathroom, it really smelled, like I can make people forget that. And Nate's like, yes, please, like make everybody in the school forget that. But it's like, it sets up all these unique scenarios. I'm like, that is so, who would have thought of that?
No.
And it's like, they did, because he's a 14-year-old. The only thing that matters to him is that everybody was, like, he got embarrassed because everyone knew he pooped.
Yeah.
I was like, that is so funny. And so, like, That's why I love this show. Is that it's like it's so unique, it's so weird and goofy, and it has its own unique stories to tell instead of just being generic.
It's a very Timmy Turner mentality in some ways.
And I love Fairly Odd Parents. That was one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. It's the same thing where it's like, how can I take this to like a unique extreme?
It's funny because like when the final battle occurred and like all the yokai came in, I'm like, it's like Butch Hartman's Pokemon. I almost texted you that, but I'm like, no, that is an insult to Yokai Watch.
You're kind of right though, like in the sense where like it is the vibe of Fairly Odd Parents, but with the Pokemon formula. So I totally see that for sure, and that's probably why I love it so much, because I love Fairly Odd Parents.
We didn't even talk about like the varying design style of all the creatures in this show.
That is another big thing that I actually, to add on to one of your questions, I took away from this was when I create my characters, they have to stand out. They have to be so unique. They have to stand out. They have to be like, you have to be able to see that character and be like, I know who that is. Like maybe you don't remember their name, but you're like, I know who that is. I remember this character. I remember what they do. And like, making them all look unique from each other and giving them all their own fun, creative, unique designs was huge. And I love that Yokai Watch takes that most of the time to the extreme.
Yeah. Because I don't know if we've touched on this. I have not watched the show.
Right.
I have not played the games.
No.
This is my first exposure to Yokai Watch.
Yes.
So when all those creatures came on the screen, I'm like, oh, there's a lot going on here.
Yes. Yes.
I think I texted you pictures of the dog men.
The two dog men, yeah. Mangy Mutt and Dan Doodle.
I was like, wow, they're here.
Yep. Those two are literally the stark opposite of each other.
Clearly.
Where Mangy Mutt is like this human-faced dog that everybody is afraid of and thinks is a freak and constantly gets arrested. Not even a joke.
For what? No.
Dude, so many different things. And
Justified?
Just him being arrested is usually justified, yeah. There's a few times where I'm like, okay, that was kind of uncool.
Like in the criminal justice system?
Like, it's mostly justified.
Okay.
And then Dan Doodle is literally the complete opposite, where like everybody thinks he's handsome, everybody loves him, and he's like, he can get away with anything. Except for like one time, I think, where he got arrested. But most of the time, he gets away with everything. Okay. And it's like that. So you have like that dichotomy of those two yokai, which I think is pretty funny.
And then again, you have the hat, you have the legs.
Yep.
You have a lot of cats.
Yep.
You have the villains of this movie who look very much like Miyazaki villains.
Yeah, and they're very like witch-like. They're very old, decrepit-looking people. Very like magical-based. Human characters.
And they fart kaijus.
Yeah, they fart kaijus.
Yep. So I could see this being like an illustrator or artist's like dream. Like, oh, I can draw whatever I want. And they'll be like, that's a yokai.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is great.
I love that about the show, too, is that also like inspired me to be like, yeah, I'll just get weird with it. Like, let's just get weird. And I also think that it was funny that they saved the day with a hose.
Yeah, they kept saying that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys.
And Nate was just like, he plugged in the hose and he was like, he just sprayed it at the thing. And I was like, and that like fixed it. And I was like, okay, that's hilarious.
It's what the old wise cat told them.
It's what Yoda told them.
Yoda cat.
Yoda cat.
Yeah, a lot of ridiculous lines in this movie. What are some that really stick out for you?
Some of the lines?
Yeah.
Man. I'm trying to remember. Like,
I do love when Hovernyan is like telling them like he's about to reveal that like Nate's grandfather is the one. And he's like, my friend's name is, and like they're all like shocked and gasping. Like, I haven't even said anything yet.
Yeah. I do love that line a lot. I think, oh man, one of my, I think one of my favorite lines in the movie and even in the show is the banter between Nate, Whisper, and Jibanyan. Because
Great trio, by the way.
Fantastic trio.
They will be the thumbnail for this episode.
Oh, absolutely. But their banter with each other is so disrespectful and so funny. Like when they time traveled and they're like, "Oh man, where are we? What's going on?" And Whisper's like, "Will you get off of me?" And Nate's like, "Oh, sorry, that just felt
they're
really
like
good
treadmilling him.
Yeah, and Nate's like, "Sorry, that felt really good beneath my feet." And it's like, are we like hearing ourselves right now? This is so incredibly disrespectful, and it is so funny. And then like they go from like this highly comedic moment, and then they were just like, well, guess Whisper's a lost cause. He was absorbed by the evil yokai. What are you gonna do? And then he gets beaten with a stick.
Whispers takes a beating in this movie.
Oh, he takes a beating through the entire show.
Where Hovernyan's like, "It's you and me against the world," and Whisper's like, "No,
no, thank you."
And
the rubber hammer.
I'm like, wow, we're saving the world with rubber hammers. And then like, what is it? When she only turned into a CGI monster because we had her trapped and need to make the rest of the movie more interesting. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Really ahead of its time there.
I do love the fourth wall breaking stuff in it. It is so funny.
Yeah. And there's just a random. I think Hovernyan said this. There's no time for manners when you're fighting evil, and I'm like, I disagree.
I think you could be. I also, it's so. I think even just like this is just like the phrase "come on out, my friend" is so sweet. Like every time they say it kind of in the movie.
Okay.
I think the only time Nate really says it, he says it twice. Mm-hmm. First time he says is when he summons Jibanyan to get him out of the cage when it's like burning in the lava. Mm-hmm. And that is followed up by another funny line of, "Oh man, I almost forgot about you." But like every time he summons a yokai, he says, "Come on out, my friend," mm-hmm. which is like, instead of being like, "Go, Squirtle," it's like, no, like, "Here, come here, help me out. I need your help, my mm-hmm. friend." And it's like, that's really sweet. And then when he's like, "I need all of my friends to come and help me," when they were like on the building yelling out to call for everybody, mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool.
That was nice. Yeah, very big like friendship moment.
Yeah.
Any trivia or fun facts you'd like to share?
I'm pretty sure this series is like a lot more popular in Japan just because it's based around Japanese mythology. Mm-hmm. They kind of have more respect for that series over there than America does. Mm-hmm. There are some really cool gadgets and gizmos that I've seen. Like somebody, I don't know if this was like a real thing that they sold, but like somebody had a watch that told time that was entirely electronic and still took the medals and had little animations on them mm-hmm. Of like the summoning animations on it. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool. And like they had like a bunch of stuff like little, just like Japan like loved that series more than we did. Mm-hmm. And I'm so sad. And I think the last time Yokai Watch got a game was the remake in 2019. Mm-hmm. And the company that put together those games is called Level 5. Mm-hmm. And they just released an update for that remake 6 years later, like last month.
Oh.
Of fixing like a lot of bugs and stuff. Mm-hmm. And people are like, "Oh, cool." Like, mm-hmm. wasn't expecting it, but they clearly care. And I love that.
It's become a regular thing on this show where I find some way to touch on supporting physical media. Mm-hmm. I wasn't going to do it today, but the only way I could watch this movie was on archive.org.
Yeah.
So, and I probably asked you this when we talked about Tetris, but what are your thoughts on this current industry epidemic where, like, art is being put behind streaming paywalls?
I mean, I'm sick of it. I think that the convenience of it for, like, TV shows and movies can be a good thing. Mm-hmm. But this, like, sheer disrespect of physical media makes me sick. Because movies like Tetris, or even shows like Yokai Watch, like, you know, Yokai Watch has physical media. Mm-hmm. It has DVD releases, mostly in Japan. I don't know if they have any. Yeah. I don't know if they have any English ones. I bought the movie on Apple mm-hmm. When it came out. And I bought the entire show through Apple, so I have all of it on my phone.
Nice.
But like, I would kill to have like a DVD of like the first 2 seasons in English and the movie in English. Mm-hmm. And the fact that like I have to wish for that is insane. And like this show came out during a time where like it would have had physical media, and it might, and I might just have to keep looking. But like nowadays, the fact that like I have to like hope that a show will get a DVD or hope that a movie will come to DVD just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I want to own this. I don't want to like be at the whim of a, you know, corporation taking it off their streaming service and I can never watch it again.
Yeah.
Like Warner Brothers removed stuff that I've bought on my phone.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And I was like, what the heck are we doing? I was like, give me my shows back. And they're like, no. And I'm like,
yeah, there are shows that are just taken off streaming and there's nowhere to access them anymore.
OKKO, Let's Be Heroes. That's a big one. I love that show to death. Thankfully I bought and downloaded them before they took them off. But like, I'm pretty sure they're gone now. I don't think you can buy them anymore.
Yeah, I just Googled like Yokai Watch Movie DVD. All the shopping results were either eBay listings or third-party sites.
Yeah.
And then, interestingly, the second to top result was Red One.
Okay. That's weird.
I'm like, all right, sure. Shout out to Liz. It's available.
I mean, hey, if it's there, go grab it, Liz.
Yeah. What do you think allows audiences to connect with Yokai Watch and has allowed the fandom to like thrive on?
I definitely think releasing it through Disney XD was huge. Because like that's how I found out about it. Because I watched a lot of Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney XD as a kid, and so I think putting it through that made it extremely accessible. And I think from just a storytelling perspective, it's like, yeah, this is just a kid who's like everybody else. And even when you're an adult, you can kind of look back and be like, yeah, I guess I was kind of a little jerk when I was a little kid. And it's for adults, it's hilarious because like some of the lessons and morals of the show are very adult and very mature for that type of show. But it has a lot of the dumb humor for kids. And so I think it strikes that perfect balance of like, yeah, you can watch it as an adult and like, there's a yokai who falls in love with a human. And it's like, but they're a yokai. How does that work? And there's like a leaf that they can wear that makes them look human, but they would be living a lie. And so it's this kind of struggle of like, it's very real, mature human themes with these silly little characters. And that's my favorite type of media, is silly little characters dealing with very real situations. And like my own media reflects that as well. So I think that that's what makes it so accessible to even just everybody, is that like the designs are cute, it's very colorful, it's very funny, but also touches on some stuff that's extremely important.
How would you pitch the movie and the series as a whole to audiences?
I would be like, hey, are you bored of Pokemon? Because I feel like a lot of people these days are getting kind of bored with the games. The anime, Ash is gone. They're trying to introduce new characters. And I feel like it's become very saturated at this point. Like Pokemon's kind of losing its edge a little. And so I'd be like, hey, are you bored with Pokemon? Watch this. This is basically the same thing, but it's more mature, it's way funnier, and it has like the same kind of thing that you're looking for, but it tackles it in a much more interesting way. And I feel like the like kind of mythology of it, because this series inspired me to research real world yokai. And start learning some of the mythology of that. I used to keep a little journal around with me where I'd research yokai and write stuff down. And I actually started developing a series centered around yokai because I was making my own little designs of them. And I ended up canceling it. But that idea of yokai being real got carried over to one of my other projects. And so it's like, I think that it's such a fascinating concept with a really cool delivery that I'm like, listen, if you like kind of campy, fourth wall breaking humor with really touching and emotional storylines that kind of hit both beats pretty well, you should watch Yokai Watch.
Yeah. I haven't watched Pokemon Horizons at all.
Is that the new one?
That's the new one. I did watch the last few seasons to like see how they wrote Ash off, and like it was kind of half baked.
Really?
Yeah, I guess Ash being written off wasn't always in the cards, but then they just kind of decided like
to retire
in the 11th hour. Yeah,
Jesus.
There's some good stuff in his like final arc. Don't get me wrong, but like the last 12 episodes just seem kind of like a little tacked on bonus side quest, and the ending doesn't really leave you with a satisfying conclusion. I think
that's a bummer.
Yeah, I mean you can look it up for yourself.
Yeah.
Final battle though, like we talk about tears. Like somehow I was crying at a Pokemon battle.
I mean, hey, it happens. That's crazy.
Ashley was like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." Because this character that I've watched since a child is about to achieve his dreams.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's huge.
So, anyway, we're not talking about Pokemon today. We're talking about Yokai Watch. So, as we wrap up this hour, why does Yokai Watch the movie matter to you?
Yokai Watch the movie and the series and just the franchise as a whole stands as a testament to you don't need to have a like AAA franchise to make a damn good movie. And it's like, to me, it is a message to anybody who's making their own projects, to anybody who's making their own media, that it's like, here's a show that tried its best, was trying to live up to some of its predecessors, and honestly did a pretty dang good job of it. And like, it doesn't follow tropes. It sticks to its own unique guns, and it did what it needed to do, and then it was unfortunately canceled. But what it gave us was such a fascinating and interesting indie series that I feel like we've kind of lost a lot recently. There's so much personality with it, and there's so much like, hey, yeah, nobody knows who we are, but like we're having fun, we're goofing around, like everybody's having a laugh, like, yeah, it's great over here. And it's just, that's so inspiring to me, because it's like with the rise and advent of indie content nowadays, whether it's in movies or video games or TV shows, I think it's incredibly fascinating that this tried to basically do what they were doing, but like 10 to 15 years ago. So I just think that Yokai Watch really, like, it's one of those things where, like, you know, I'd say this about a lot of other shows, but it's like, it's one of those, like, people judged it too quickly by what they thought it was. They didn't give it a chance. And by the time people gave it a chance, it was already too late. And so I always encourage people, like, even if something seems remotely interesting, or even if it seems like it might just be a cop-out of something, give it a first episode. Just watch the first episode and see what it gives you. Because you never know. You might get gold, which is what I got when I started watching this series.
Nice. Very nice. Were they able to end on their own terms, or were they just like, no, you're done?
I would have to check. I got to be honest, I didn't make it through season 3.
Okay. That's because the voice cast.
The voice cast changed, and the plot was so weird at that point. I don't think they ended on their own terms.
That's too bad.
I think they got canceled. When you go onto like IMDb, it doesn't even say that it's over, but it's definitely over, because there hasn't been any new episodes since season 3. And I checked to see if like maybe Japan was doing some stuff or whatever, and I think Japan's making some movies maybe, but like the show itself, I'm pretty sure ended like back in 2019, maybe earlier than that. So it ended a while ago.
Okay. You want to talk about the series you're working on right now?
Sure, I'd love to.
Because we've talked a lot about your art style and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm currently working on a series called Zany Zooland, ZANYZOOLAND, for people who are curious. It is a show about Cassie Cat and their best friend Adam Axolotl, as they get wrapped up in a bunch of multiverse shenanigans and become basically the heroes of a world that is starting to fall apart. It's a story about a lack of destiny. There is no prophecy. There is no like, you know, there is no prophecy. There is no destiny. There is only the people who were there when the multiverse needed it. And they were the ones who just stepped up to help because they were the ones who were there. And the tagline that I have for the series is that when the multiverse needed a hero, we got a cat.
Cats.
Yep, cats. And I also will say, as a fun little extra side note, is my main character, Cassie Cat, is actually inspired off of Jibanyan from Yokai Watch.
I saw Orange Cat.
Yeah.
But personality, I don't know.
Not personality-wise, more design-wise, because Jibanyan's design made me realize, like, oh, like, I can just draw a cat like this instead of trying to make it super complicated. And so I just drew, like, a big, round, like, cat, and I was like, yeah, here we go. Like, there's my cat.
Got it.
So yeah, I'm hard at work at working on the first volume of I had to reboot my series. The first volume of the reboot is out on my Itch.io, Bioprison Studios on Itch.io. So go take a look. And there is a special little project coming out with Zany Zooland very soon that you were a part of.
Yeah.
And I'll give a hint. It involves voice work. So I'm very excited for that to come out. So keep an eye out on the Bioprism Studios channel.
Yeah, and check out all the YouTube channels as well.
Please.
All three of them.
I would love for you people. Yeah, I make video essays, I do Let's Plays, and I make big projects. Those are my three.
What's the next video essay? Can you give us a tease?
Sure. My next video essay is about dating games.
Are those a thing?
Yeah, like dating sims, dating video games.
I didn't know The Sims had dating aspects.
No, not The Sims. Dating simulators.
Oh,
like dating games, like dating sim games.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I'm the game I'm covering is a game called Date Everything, and I'm basically trying to be like, how can you take the lessons of dating games and apply them to real life and actual dating?
I look forward to that.
Thank you.
And while you're waiting, check out their Club Penguin video essay, please.
Thank you. I love that video. I think it came out really well.
And what's up with Cartridge Crusaders? What's the next game?
Well, right now we're currently wrapping up Deltarune, which was a very long-running series that we absolutely loved. So we're very excited for that to kind of wrap up for now until it comes back next year. And we just started playing Spyro Year of the Dragon, so if anybody wants that. And then we always release one-offs every Monday, so there's a different game coming out every Monday. We do like a mini-series, so like you'll see like 2 or 3 episodes of a series on Wednesdays. And then Fridays is our long series days, where like games that we play either the entire game or we play it for multiple hours is our Fridays. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 times a week, every single week. Come on by, come on watch. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. All those links will be in the bio. Thank you, Veras.
Thank you.
Yeah. And folks, thank you for listening to another episode of Movies That Matter. Just 2 more and we'll be at 50 episodes. Wow. If you'd like to get in touch with me about the show, you can reach me either at Gmail or Instagram at Movies That Matter Pod. You can also be my friend on Letterboxd at Chris Loves Films, love spelled L-U-V-S. At this time, my last 4 watches were Disney's The Aristocats, Yokai Watch the Movie, shocking, E.T., and Jaws. Also on my Letterboxd, you can find a full list of all the movies featured on the show, but you wouldn't need that because you've been a day one listener, haven't you? Haven't you?
Right.
Yeah, you have. Folks, the real world is scary. Don't forget to love each other when life gets too scary. Immerse yourself in your favorite movie or piece of media. Don't worry about box office numbers or Rotten Tomatoes scores. Watch what you love. Entertainment is subjective, and that's not a bad thing. But until next time, this has been Chris Flaherty. Thanks for listening to Movies That Matter.